This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to the briefing. We are tracking several major developments in criminal justice today, from tragic domestic incidents to shocking discoveries in cold cases. Let's get right into the latest updates.
A Washington mother's final 911 call captures her murder.
A tattoo artist's body is found in a crypt.
Louisiana couple charged with horrific cruelty to a teenager.
Virginia father faces homicide charges after a tractor accident.
Maggie Ybarra speaks out about a brutal Missouri murder.
Texas behavioral specialist charged after a student's tragic death.
Colorado woman receives maximum sentence for a fatal DUI.
Arizona man allegedly strangles girlfriend during a FaceTime call.
Starting in Washington state, the final moments of Gloria Choi, a mother from Lakewood, Washington, were captured in a truly harrowing 911 call that has now become central to the investigation. On January 2, 2022, Choi called emergency services in a state of pure panic, stating that she was being followed and was too terrified to even step out of her vehicle. During the call, she frantically told the dispatcher that her boyfriend had a gun. Moments later, the audio recorded the sound of 14 shots being fired. When police arrived on the scene just minutes later, they found her car pinched off on a gravel shoulder, effectively trapped so she couldn't escape. Officers had to break a rear window to reach her, but despite their rapid efforts to provide medical aid, she was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital.
The details provided by former Pierce County prosecutor Greg Greer and witnesses like Terry Estfald paint a picture of a calculated and brutal ambush. Estfald, who was only 30 feet away, described the intensity of the first responders' efforts to save her, a memory that still haunts him today. Choi's best friend, Brianna Eberly, shared the heartbreaking reality of trying to reach Gloria over and over again, only to have her father finally pick up and confirm the worst. The investigation revealed that the suspect had blocked her path, leaving her with no way to drive forward before he opened fire. This case highlights the terrifying speed at which domestic stalking can escalate into a fatal encounter, leaving a family and a community searching for answers while grappling with the chilling evidence left behind on that recorded emergency call.
Now to Philadelphia, the disappearance of Keith Palumbo, a 36-year-old tattoo artist and musician, led Philadelphia investigators down a dark path involving a motorcycle gang and a betrayal by a childhood friend. Palumbo went missing after borrowing his mother's car, and her intuition immediately told her something was wrong. When the car was found in an area known for drug trafficking, friends feared a relapse, but the investigation soon shifted toward Mike DeLuca, a member of the Warlocks outlaw biker gang. DeLuca was a childhood friend of Palumbo, but had a violent criminal history. Interestingly, Palumbo had been shot in the leg just 10 days before he vanished, yet he refused to name his attacker to the police. This silence suggested a deep-seated fear or a code of loyalty that may have ultimately contributed to the tragic outcome of his disappearance and subsequent murder.
As detectives dug deeper, they encountered another Warlock member, Buck Evans, who held a grudge against Palumbo, believing the musician was responsible for his son's drug arrest. While Evans admitted to the previous leg shooting, he pointed investigators toward the Warlocks clubhouse for answers about the disappearance. The search eventually led to a cemetery crypt where Palumbo's body was discovered alongside a second, unrelated victim. Retired detective Chris McMullen noted that the case was a whole different animal due to its disturbing nature. The investigation revealed that the very people Palumbo grew up with were tied to a criminal underworld that didn't hesitate to use a final resting place as a dumping ground. The case serves as a grim reminder of how personal vendettas within tight-knit, high-risk circles can lead to such a macabre and violent end for those involved.
Moving to Louisiana. In Ascension Parish, Louisiana, a couple is facing serious charges after a disturbing incident involving a 14-year-old boy. Gina Sagona, 44, has been charged with cruelty to a juvenile, while 45-year-old Mark Sagona faces charges for being a principal to that cruelty. The investigation began after the Department of Children and Family Services reported a child abuse incident. Detectives reviewed home video footage that reportedly showed Gina Sagona forcing the teenager face down into dog urine and then dragging him through it. The sheriff's office also noted that the boy was struck multiple times during the encounter. Mark Sagona was allegedly present during parts of this abuse, but failed to intervene or stop the actions. This level of degradation and physical violence has shocked the local community, especially given the specific and humiliating nature of the acts captured on the home's own surveillance system.
When questioned by investigators, Gina Sagona reportedly admitted to the abuse, leading to the immediate arrest of both adults. They are currently being held in the Ascension Parish Jail, with Gina's bond set at $50,000 and Mark's at $40,000. While the exact relationship between the Sagonas and the victim has not been publicly clarified, the severity of the charges reflects the state's stance on juvenile protection. The use of video evidence in this case was pivotal, providing a clear and undeniable record of the events that took place within the home. As the investigation continues, the focus remains on the welfare of the teenager and the legal proceedings that will determine the consequences for the couple. The case highlights the critical role that video monitoring and social services play in uncovering hidden abuse within domestic settings.
Next, in Virginia, a tragic tractor accident in Bristol, Virginia, has resulted in felony homicide charges against a father and grandmother. 21-year-old Austin Tester was driving a farm tractor with his 3-year-old son on his lap when the vehicle overturned, trapping the young boy underneath. Rather than calling 911 immediately, authorities allege that Austin first contacted his mother, 41-year-old Kelly Tester. She arrived on the scene quickly, but even then the pair reportedly waited 22 minutes before seeking emergency help. By the time responders arrived and physically lifted the tractor to free the child, 31 minutes had passed since the initial crash. The boy was rushed to a hospital, but unfortunately died from his injuries. A preliminary autopsy determined the cause of death was asphyxiation, a condition that might have been prevented if medical intervention had occurred much sooner than it actually did.
The delay in calling for help is the central focus of the criminal case. Police Chief D. Byron Ashbrook emphasized that the significant wait time directly impacted the ability to provide life-saving measures. Furthermore, Austin Tester allegedly fled the scene as authorities arrived, later claiming he did so because of an outstanding probation violation related to a prior drug offense. His mother, Kelly Tester, is also charged with obstruction of justice for allegedly providing false information and helping to hide her son from law enforcement. Both are now facing felony child abuse and neglect charges, in addition to the homicide counts. This case is a heartbreaking example of how fear of legal repercussions can lead to catastrophic decision-making, resulting in the loss of a young life that might have been saved with a single, timely phone call to emergency services.
Shifting to Missouri, Maggie Ybarra, currently serving a life sentence in Missouri, has given her first exclusive interview regarding the brutal 2020 murder of Kenzie Aubrey. Ybarra was working as an escort when she met Michael Hendricks, a man she referred to as Daddy Satan. Hendricks lived a double life as an IT professional and family man while secretly indulging in sexual sadism. Ybarra admitted to introducing Aubrey to Hendricks for what was supposed to be a consensual encounter. However, she watched as Hendricks suddenly began strangling Aubrey. Ybarra confessed that she simply stood by and observed the killing, noting that Hendricks remained eerily calm throughout the entire process. Following the murder, the pair engaged in a frantic and bizarre cover-up attempt that involved dismembering the body and using Hendricks's private helicopter to try and dispose of the remains in a river before eventually burying them on his property.
In her interview with Court TV, Ybarra expressed a desire to take accountability, yet she appeared apprehensive when discussing the role her own 13-year-old daughter played in the investigation. It was the teenager's actions that ultimately helped secure justice for the victim's family and led to the arrest of both Ybarra and Hendricks. The details of the case are particularly chilling because of the calculated nature of the disposal and the lack of remorse shown during the act itself. Hendricks's ability to maintain a normal facade while committing such atrocities is a central theme of the upcoming documentary. Ybarra's conviction for second-degree murder and other charges ensures she will remain behind bars, but her willingness to finally speak provides a disturbing look into the dynamics of her relationship with Hendricks and the tragic final moments of Kenzie Aubrey.
Now to Texas. In Cypress, Texas, a behavioral specialist named Donald Cameron Perkins is facing a felony charge of injury to a disabled individual after a violent encounter with a nonverbal autistic student. The incident occurred at the Carlton Pre-Vocational Center, where Perkins was employed. According to police, Perkins used unprovoked and excessive force by shoving the student, identified as SM, from behind. Surveillance footage from the school contradicts Perkins' initial claim that the student simply fell. The video shows Perkins forcefully pushing the boy, causing him to become slightly airborne before landing chest down on a tile floor. A loud thud was audible on the recording. Shortly after this encounter, the student suffered a medical emergency involving oxygen deprivation. He was later declared brain dead and passed away a few days later. The investigation suggests the physical trauma from the fall may have triggered the fatal medical crisis.
The parents of the victim described their son as essentially nonverbal, making him particularly vulnerable in a school setting designed for students with disabilities. The Cypress Fairbanks Police Department's affidavit highlights that the push was deliberate and forceful, occurring while the student had food in his mouth. This detail is critical, as staff initially believed the student was choking before the full extent of the assault was revealed through video evidence. Perkins' attempt to downplay the incident in his initial statement has added to the severity of the legal scrutiny he now faces. This case has sparked significant concern regarding the safety and supervision of vulnerable students in specialized educational facilities. As the legal process moves forward, the focus remains on the discrepancy between the specialist's duty to protect and the aggressive actions captured on the school's own security cameras.
Turning to Colorado, Callan Settle has been sentenced to the maximum prison term in Colorado following a fatal DUI crash that killed 41-year-old motorcyclist Aaron Barone. Settle, a former registered nurse, initially tried to deceive police at the scene by claiming she was just a bystander stopping to help. She even went so far as to blame a fictitious driver for the collision. However, officers noticed blood and human tissue on her own vehicle and smelled alcohol on her breath. After she refused a sobriety test, a warrant was obtained for a blood draw, which revealed both alcohol and cocaine in her system. Inside her car, investigators found a variety of substances, including ketamine and more cocaine. When she was first arrested, she mockingly told the officer, "Good luck with that," a comment that would later come back to haunt her during the sentencing phase of her trial.
During the hearing, Settle attempted to show remorse, speaking through tears about the choice she made. However, the prosecution argued that her actions during the pre-trial period, which included missing multiple drug tests, suggested she hadn't truly changed. Judge Jenny Lynn Lawrence agreed, questioning Settle's sobriety and ultimately handing down a 7-year total sentence. The victim's father spoke passionately about his son's hard work and the life that was cut short by Settle's irresponsibility. The judge's decision to impose the maximum sentence reflects the gravity of the crime and the defendant's initial lack of accountability. This case serves as a stark warning about the consequences of impaired driving and the legal system's intolerance for those who attempt to evade responsibility after causing a fatal accident. The concurrent sentences for vehicular homicide and drug possession ensure Settle will face significant time behind bars.
Finally, in Arizona, Jesus Arturo Guerrero Martinez is in custody in Tucson, Arizona, facing multiple domestic violence charges after a terrifying assault on his girlfriend. The incident reportedly began over a dispute regarding a laptop. According to the police complaint, Guerrero Martinez grabbed the woman by the throat and dragged her into a bedroom, where he strangled her twice. In a desperate move for help, the victim managed to start a FaceTime call with her mother. The mother told police she actually witnessed the strangulation occurring on her screen, which prompted her to rush to the apartment immediately. The victim also reported being struck in the face multiple times before she was able to break free. As she tried to escape, the defendant allegedly threatened her with what appeared to be a handgun, though a later search revealed it was actually a metal flashlight designed to look like a firearm.
During his court appearance, prosecutors alleged that this was not an isolated incident, stating that Guerrero Martinez had previously tried and threatened to kill the victim. The charges against him include kidnapping and aggravated assault with a simulated weapon. While the defendant denied that the events took place as described, the eyewitness testimony from the victim's mother provides powerful evidence for the prosecution. This case highlights the role of technology in modern domestic violence situations, where a video call became a literal lifeline and a source of direct evidence for law enforcement. The quick actions of the victim's mother and the subsequent police investigation have removed a repeat offender from the community. Guerrero Martinez remains behind bars as the legal system addresses these serious allegations of repeated violence and intimidation, ensuring the victim's safety while the case proceeds through the Pima County court system.
That concludes our briefing for today. Join us again tomorrow for more focused updates on the stories that matter most. For more, follow this show on your favorite podcast platform.